Hi, Yousaf.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
I have a question for you that many people are asking right now.
Okay.
And that question is, what are some ways to reduce your car payment or get rid of it on an existing car?
Oh, that's a very popular question. A lot of people are actually asking this question right now. So, obviously, there are a few things we need to know in order to address this question. First of all, is your car on a finance or is it on a lease? These two will help us determine which steps to take on after that. So, reducing a car payment would involve us evaluating your car. So you would have to bring your car, and we're just gonna have to take a look at it and to see what it's worth in the market at this point in time. And essentially, once we know the value of your car, we're gonna do what's called a payout. We're gonna see how much you owe in your car, and then once we have both those values, we can see what your equity position is. Either you're in a positive equity position where your car is worth more than what your loan is, or you're in a negative equity position where your car is lower than what your loan is. So if it's a positive equity situation, it's very easy. You can just sell your car to the dealership and then you can get a check made for the difference of the balance. If it's a negative equity situation, you will have to pay that balance up front. Or what you could do is you could probably buy another vehicle and reduce your payment by getting into a cheaper vehicle, in which case that negative equity portion would be going towards your loan on the new vehicle. So let's say you originally bought a car that was $50,000, and eventually you want to now reduce the payment and trade it in for something that's, let's say, $30,000. Depending on the vehicle, of course, and to see if it can sustain that additional balance, we will bring you in, and then we can see if it gets approved under that scenario. And then that being said, we will see what the payment comes down to. It will be a lower payment than what you were paying before, and it will help you reduce the payment.
So do you recommend that the customer come to the dealership and discuss this with us and not just take
For
the
sure.
decision on their own?
So there is always a good idea. It's always a good idea to come into the dealership and do an options review to see what options are available to you in your particular scenario. We deal with this all the time. A lot of people are trying to reduce their payments for whatever reason, whether they want to, tighten up the budget or save additional money for whatever it is, and or sometimes it could be life situation has changed. Maybe you bought a vehicle that was a big SUV for your family, and now you don't need it because, let's say, your kids are grown up or something along those lines, and you want to get into a smaller, more economic vehicle. So there are many scenarios that you can go through, and then we can help you decide on what is the best option.
Would you like to add anything?
Um, that being said, there are leases as well that you can just transfer the lease over to someone else. So most manufacturers do allow that. You can do a lease transfer. Obviously, the person that you're going to be transferring the lease to needs to have good credit, so that way they can get approved. And sometimes maybe if you put a big down payment, you can request some or part of it uh, to back to you, so that way you can get some money out of it. And even in the lease situation, we can see what you owe and what your car is worth, and you won't have to go till the end of the contract, and we can see the equity position, and maybe you get some money in your pocket as well. At the end of the day, in both scenarios, the finance or the lease, the amount owing needs to be settled, and that is how you move forward. Another alternative that you can do in order to reduce your payment, you can do what's called a refinance. So how does that work? That essentially is us, the dealership, buying your vehicle and then selling it back to you. In certain cases that you may not want to change the vehicle and you want to keep your same vehicle, maybe you love it, you just want a lower payment, maybe we can refinance the amount on a larger term, right? Essentially, let's say initially you bought the vehicle, you did a 4-year finance or a 5-year finance, and let's say it qualifies up to 7 years or 8 years. Let's say there are loans up to 8 years you can do. So we buy the vehicle and then you buy it back from us, we'd have to do the safety on the vehicle just because we're transferring it from one name to another. And then, but mind you, you might have to pay the tax. Well, you will have to pay the taxes again on the amount that's owing. So then it gets bought by you again, and because the payment is spread out over a longer term, you can reduce your payment. They are open loans, so that being said, if you do that to reduce your payment, maybe you get some extra money. You don't have to take it to the end of the term, right? After a year, let's say you have some extra cash, you can pay off your vehicle. That's no problem, right? So that's the beautiful thing about auto loans. They are open, and you will reduce the interest depending on how much you pay and when you pay, and because you can pay it off earlier, you won't have to take it to the end of the contract.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem.